What's going on, alchemists? Today I have another Akora deck profile, this one courtesy of Pokio TCG. Now, the lists I've covered in the past, the Magna Kage deck was my own, but the others were lists that were made by other people, but they hadn't necessarily seen the results that this deck has. This deck was got 4th place at the CGC Akora tournament that happened last month. And yeah, like I said, it got 4th place. Very impressive, very impressive. And Pokio, he's been very good helping me out in my starting out here at Akora. You know, this game's a new frontier. I mean, all things considered, I've been here, this community, about a month or so? A little less, actually. So, he's just been an amazing help. So I want to do his deck list justice. I have had experience using the list, as I always do with all of my deck profiles. I want to get a feel for the list, understandably, before I start talking about it, but this one, I can completely understand why it has the earned the placement that it did in that event. It is insanely powerful. It has an answer for just about any board state. And let's stop praising it and start showing explaining why it's so great. So our Akora stage 1 is Ryokn. This deck focuses on a fire beast synergy, so we'll explain a bit more about that further in the list. Stage 2, Kojiru Ryokn, very solid. He is sworn to loyalty to protecting Barg's land, and he roams around to deter those who stay too close. Stray too close, my bad, didn't read that correctly. And finally, our Stage 3, Arasu-Ryokn himself, the card immortalized on an ancient, and he's got relic attack of 2,200 and 500 soul points. Very, very solid attacker. Very definitely attack-oriented Akora. From there, we get into the Alchemy deck. Now, this list plays 14 shards, 14 Fire Relic Shards. You're going to be paying a lot of these for costs for things like, say, your Anti Alchemies, a few other cards, but that's just a notable example. It's a search, you get your shard searchable off of Rage Unleashed, and you're really just trying to build up as much attack points as possible. So, in combination with, say, your Abyss lands, your Battle Zone, it's going to be very useful because you'll be gaining 100 for each Fire Relic Shard you have in play. Once during your turn, you may destroy 2 of your Fire Relic Shards and destroy one of the opponent's Alchemy cards. So that's a destruction, and it's getting Fire Relic Shards in the Dark Zone, which is another thing you're setting up. So, by paying for cost for a lot of these cards and getting pretty decent effects, you're also setting up some of the other ones, which I'll get to. From there, we got 3 Explosion. Explosion is a relic cost of 3. Keep that in mind. Always read your cards, kids. It's a flash that says when an opponent's Akora attacks, flip this card and destroy 2 of your Fire Relic Shards and destroy that Akora. Once again, it's not once per turn, and if your opponent has no Relic Shards and their Akora is destroyed, they lose the game. Because, if you remember, Stage 1 Akora have a Relic cost of 1. So, that's something to keep in mind, because that can come up. One of our other 3 ofs are Relentless Eruption. This is an Eternity that says your Akora gains 25 attack power for each Fire Relic Shard in the Dark Zone. One of the cards I was talking about earlier, and once during your turn, you can send up to 2 Fire Relic Shards from the Alchemy deck to the Dark Zone, giving your Akora another 50 attack power by its own effect, and on top of that, it'll gain an extra 400 200 for each, again, by its own effect. So you're just gaining attack points on attack points with this card. But it is only once per turn. This Eternity, with relic cost of 3, keep in mind, is not stackable. Most other Eternities are. Once again, keep in mind, so you can only have one armament, but you can have one of each armament, but you can have multiple copies of the same Eternity most of the time. That being one of the exceptions. Another 3 we have is Flame Eternal. Flame Eternal is a very standard Spellbound Wings fire support card. It's a flash that says if you would take attack damage, flip this card, and that damage is now 0. And you also get to add a Fire Relic Shard off that effect from your Alchemy deck. Very solid. From there, we got Rage Unleashed. So this is the Beast synergy I was talking about. I only have 2 copies, so I'm using that as the makeshift copy. But yeah, it's equip only to a Beast type Akora, and the equipped Akora gains 50 soul points for each Relic Shard you have in play. If you need those soul points, go ahead, but you're mostly using it for its playing a Relic Shard from the deck effect. This also, in the combination, so say you play your Relic Shard for turn, this allows you to play a Relic Shard after you've played another Relic Shard. So, picture turn 1, alright, you have a Relic Shard and this card in your hand. You start with 1 Relic Shard every game anyways. So, you play your Relic Shard for turn, now you're at 2, you play down your Rage Unleash, equip it, and then you use its effect to destroy it immediately, playing a Relic Shard from deck. That's incredible. Now you have 3 Relic Shards. And because of the new rule, you can now Relic up on turn 1. So Rage Unleashed can lead to a turn 1 stage 2 Akora. Absolutely insane. From there, we play 3 Anti Alchemy. This you can flip this card and destroy 2 of your Relic Shards and choose one of the opponent's Alchemy cards on the field, negate and destroy it. Very good card. So say your opponent has something like, I don't know, they're playing Divine and they're playing Divine Altar. They're locking you out of Eternities. What do? You play an Anti Alchemy. You can get some of those Relic Shards in the Dark Zone to set up some other cards. And on top of it, you get the Destruction. So it's very, very good for getting rid of, breaking some unideal board states. There we play 2 Burning Chains. Burning Chains is an armament that says equip only to a Beast type Akora. The equipped Akora gains 300 attack power, and when your Akora attacks, if the equipped Akora has more than 1000 attack power, you may destroy 2 of your Fire Relic Shards, and your Akora's attack cannot be negated till the end of the turn. That's a very solid effect. Alright, because most of the time, your Akora is going to have more than 1000 attack power. So, very consistently, endgame, you can ensure your attacks get through. Which is something you might take for granted, but it's a pretty big deal. Then, we play 1 Incineration. Incineration is another flash alchemy that says, during your turn, deal 50 damage to your opponent's alchemy essence for each Fire Relic Shard in your Dark Zone. You can only activate an Incineration once per turn. Very solid card, very solid. It's not a lot of damage, but it's, it's some damage, and you're sending a lot of cards to the Dark Zone anyways. Pyro Alchemy. Pyro Alchemy says, during your turn, destroy all other face-up fire attribute cards you control, and for each destroyed, deal 300 damage to the opponent's alchemy essence. Say endgame, your opponent might be 1 tack away, but if they're low on their alchemy essence as well, you can just wipe your own board and it won't matter, because this isn't an attack, this is, effect damage. So, not too much they can do about effect damage, which is a very good way to, very solid way to end a game. It was either that or Incineration. So Pokio has since refined this list. This is just the list as of the event. He has since changed out a few things. I think he's added another shard, and he's switched out a few things. I don't remember exactly what else he took out, but I know the next card he has taken out, and that is Battering Ram. Battering Ram is a very solid card, but Pokio has since removed it from the list. It's a multicolored alchemy that says, player flip this card, destroy 2 of your Relic Shards, and destroy your opponent's battle zone. And battle zones are great, and battle zones are very useful in a lot of different decks, but you know, you get your 2 Relic Shards in the Dark Zone, so it's not a terrible card to play in this deck, but your opponent may not even have their battle zone out by the time you get this card. Even if you get this in your starting hand and they don't have it exactly out yet, it's just kind of a dead card. So I will include in the description what Pokio what things he would has switched out since, but for now in this list, again, I'm playing it in its state as of the event. Still a very solid card, nonetheless. From there, we play 1 Hot Sauce. Hot Sauce is an ornament that says the equipped Akora gains 200 attack power, and if this card is in your Dark Zone, at the start of each turn, deal 100 burn damage to your opponent's Alchemy Essence. So if this is out for an extended amount of turns, that's going to add up, right? Again, it's not a lot, but you're constantly dealing damage. You're constantly getting more attack points. So again, may not seem like a lot, but it's a very solid one-off to have. The other thing this deck has no shortage of is protection. So attack negation, such as Ancient Calling. Ancient Calling is it's a card that just about every deck should at least be playing one of, if not more. It's no funny business. When an opponent's Akora attacks, flip this card and negate the attack. It's not today. You're not having the attack damage. You're not making it 0. You're just negating the attack entirely. All right, Ancient Calling. I love this card. I got the holographic version from Poke Breaks. Very happy about that. Appreciate it. And finally, there's a card I've been talking about, been hyping up, that's seen a lot of competitive play recently, and that is Sanctum Key. Now, Sanctum Key was a promotional card given away at LGS's for those who bought boxes of Aphelium Unleashed, and it's a very good card. It has seen a lot of play, and Pokio has contributed a lot of his the deck's success to this card. Now, Sanctum Key reads, when your opponent's alchemy, when your alchemy essence would be reduced to 0, you may flip this card and set your alchemy essence to 1 instead, and it cannot be lowered until the start of the next turn. You can only have 1 Sanctum Key in your alchemy deck, so you're limited to 1, but it is a card that can buy you a valuable turn. An insanely valuable turn. Again, I cannot stress how insane this card will be. I know a lot of people are starting to incorporate it now. Stitch has commented that a lot of his new players are starting to use it. And, there's limited copies. I would, if you haven't already, pick up a Sanctum Key, because it is going to be a staple going forward, and it's only gonna be harder to come by. But yeah, very solid. So that is the list. As I said, I will be explaining in the description, showing what Pokio would switch out. But I hope you guys learned a little something today. As always, these are just meant to be informative, to help new players out. Really like making these. I got a few more things in the works as well. I got one for Nature Attribute, Kira Yosei deck profile coming up soon. Card of the Days. I got to get to work on those. I have like 3 that I've like halfway done. And I just kind of need to do the voiceover for those. So those are in the works. Got to get those done. But things will start rolling out shortly. Yeah, not too much else. I'll be doing having my tournament debut on Friday, which is just 2 days from now. I'll be playing my first Akora tournament, so that's always really exciting. Hopefully, I'll get to face off some of the best players in the game. I always love the competitive scene for any game. That's what I live for. You know, I'm not playing casually. I'm not playing for fun. I am playing for glory. All right. I love playing for stakes, having things on the line, you know, and I enjoy playing people at their best and seeing, you know, what a game is capable of when, you know, the right people pick up some cards. So always very exciting. So I'm gonna be doing some training for that. Actually, gonna get on Tabletop Simulator. I'm gonna been working on my deck list today, so I'm very excited to do that. And I might do a little bit of content on that as well. But I think that's all for now. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.